All right, so the price on this Jeep Wrangler right here is $42,000, right at $43,000. And this is the lowest level trim that you can get in a Wrangler. This is the sport model. And 10 years ago, this same Jeep was in the mid to upper 20s. This is a sad day if you like Jeeps. I really love Wranglers, and here's the thing. They've abandoned a massive percentage of their customer base. And I'm here at a Jeep, Dodge, and Ram dealership right now, and we're going to go through, I'm going to show you some of the pricing, and it's really going to be my sad love note to Jeep, I guess, and specifically for a model like this, a Jeep Wrangler, where really, at the end of the day, how have we gotten so far away from what we used to be as a company, right? And I say we, because my heart is in this thing. I've owned many Jeeps. I love them, but now I wouldn't own one. And we're gonna go through this whole dealership lot right here, and on the very other side in their storage lot, they have so much inventory here at this dealership that they keep their Rams over there. So we'll hit the Ram trucks last, but here we have this whole line of Wranglers. I can show you right here. We got 4 doors, we got 2 doors, we got that sad Jeep Wrangler Sport right there. That's crazy price, but let's start right here. This is a Sahara, it's a 4-door. And this one's a 2025 model, so we're actually approaching very quickly to 2026, and a lot of these Jeeps out here are still 2025s, and these dealerships, they're in a mad rush right now to get rid of a lot of the older year models. And there's also 2026s on this lot, and I'll see if I can find some too to show you. But this is a Sahara. MSRP on this is $59,000. And what I want to do is see if I can find a Sahara that's a 2026, because that one's a 2025, 2026, but that's a Willys. Is this a Sahara? That's a Sport. So here's another comparison. This is one of the 4-door Sports, so this is lower level trim. Still $52,000 for this thing. And let's just go through all of these Jeeps. That's a Rubicon, but that's a 2026. Let's check out that. There we go. That's a good new year model. Rubicon 4x4, $66,000 for these things. And we're gonna go up here to these Jeep Grand Cherokees. Now, one thing that Jeep has said lately is that they want to abandon the model that they did have over the last couple of years, got rid of their CEO, and now they want to go a new direction. And what their current CEO has said is that they want to focus on revenues, and they want to focus on market share. Well, what does that mean? That means that they actually want to sell more vehicles. And how do you do that? Well, either you make a better product. We're not doing that right now. They're not revolutionizing the wheel. They're not coming out with anything new that's really going to make the market crazy. So we're not going that route. And we have to lower prices, right? That's how you get more people into vehicles. And we're not seeing it yet in these models, but hopefully as 2026 rolls around, we're going to start seeing more incentive packages. We've already seen some dealer incentives. Dealer incentives are going to be much different than what you're going to get from as a retail customer. Rebates are something that we can enjoy, that if we come onto the dealership lot, they immediately just say, okay, there's a $2,500 rebate on this vehicle. You can go ahead and knock $2,500 off on it. Dealer incentives, dealers get paid for actually selling these vehicles, but that's also money that they can use to maneuver the price when they're actually trying to sell you a vehicle. The problem is you have to negotiate for that money in a lot of cases, but they do have that money that they can actually move. Let's check this out. This is a Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. This is another 2025 model. This is only 2-wheel drive. 2-wheel drive Jeep Grand Cherokee, $50,000. And one thing I want to point out is that Jeep, even the Grand Cherokees, now I know we talk about the Wranglers and stuff, and they're rugged, they've always been known as off-road vehicles, but Jeep Grand Cherokees have been more of a family vehicle, and for your average family, for years and years and years, they've been some of the more affordable vehicles that you could actually buy in a small SUV. Say small SUV, they're not really small, but they're comparable to like a Ford Explorer. You're not getting into the Grand Wagoneer size. You're not getting into the Expedition. So it's that mid-tier kind of range. But right now, the average family who's going to be able to buy a Jeep Grand Cherokee for their everyday grocery getter, take the kids to school, go to work, $50,000 is not going to get it. And this is why the direction of what we're seeing from Jeep is that something has to change, because they know they've lost so many of their customer base, and they want to focus more on getting back to customer loyalty, because they've broken a lot of it, and they realize that. And that's good that we're acknowledging this. The problem is you got to get the direction of what the CEO wants to do, which I think is a good direction, and the direction of what shareholders, board members might want to do. We've got to get those aligned. The problem is those two things are not going to align with their end goals, right? Because if the CEO wants to push more product, going to lower profit margins, going to lower profits probably at the end of the day when you're doing that, because you're actually going to decrease your prices and you're going to add more incentives to these dealers. It costs money, right? Shareholders, board members, what do they want? They want higher profit margins. They want higher profits. That means more dollars in their pocket. And at the end of the day, those two things can't exist in the same realm of business, right? So hopefully we can get to the place where, okay, let's make long-term decisions right now. This is what I think the CEO is trying to do, where we get our customer base back, we get some loyalty back into the brand, we get prices that are cheaper, we get more Jeeps on the road, and then the long play is, okay, we can get those customers back in the door, create lifelong customers again like we used to have after we alienated a lot of those that customer base, and we can make this a long-term play, right? Shareholders want, okay, what can you do for me tomorrow? What can you do for me the next day? I want money now. I want money now. I want money now, right? So it's going to be very difficult for this new CEO to come in and actually implement a lot of these things that he's wanting to do to make products that are affordable, that are simple, that are rugged, like what we used to know in a Jeep, and then actually still be able to turn enough profit to be able to appease shareholders, appease board members. It's going to be a very tightrope for him to actually walk to this. And I want to point out these right here. These are Gladiators. It's a Wrangler with a bed on the back of it, right? This right here is a Willys. Price on this, $49,000. And this is a 2025 model. And I actually, we know that last year they started to cut production on a lot of these things because they had a very difficult time selling them. And price point is, if you're looking at it comparative to like another truck, is not really necessarily the issue. It's still way too expensive, right? We need them to be cheaper. But relative to what you're looking at F-150, other trucks that are on the market, they're cheaper than the other trucks. But we know that people start buying them. So what do we know then? It's not a pricing problem, it's a product problem. And this is something that they're just not going to be able to sell. And you see that this dealership right here, I mean, the line starts right here, but every other vehicle in this lane right here is a Gladiator. So absolutely insane how much of a problem these things are. And they become a big problem for these dealerships because they're now stuck holding the bag on products that people just don't want. And you're seeing it a lot. You go to Ford with like the F-150 Lightning. That's another good example. Probably even a bigger example of a bag product over there at Ford, because that's absolutely been a big problem and a big cash burn for the manufacturer of Ford on that side. But now the dealerships are getting stuck with it, and the Gladiators weren't necessarily a cash burn for Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, but now you're seeing it as a big cash burn for a lot of these dealerships. And the reason being is because, okay, a lot of those Jeep Gladiators are 2025s. They could have been sitting here for 6-8 months. And we know that 2 years ago, we had a lot of Gladiators that are sitting around that were 2 years old, over 2 years old, and dealerships still couldn't sell them. That's why production got cut, and a lot of these dealerships ended up they're holding the bag, and they pay tons and tons of interest on a lot of this inventory that was sitting around. Here we go. Here's the Ram lot. So this is a dealership that they have a big lot over there. You can see it, huge, right? But they don't have enough space because they have so much inventory. So they have to bring all their Ram trucks over on their storage lot. And this used to be like a used storage lot, but they just transferred it to, I guess, their truck lot now. But we'll go through, we'll see some of the heavy duty stuff, but I want to look at some of the more accessible trucks, if you want to call them that. This is a Ram 1500 2026, so we do have some 2026s coming in. Bighorn crew cab. I don't know how the trim breakdowns go on Ram. I know like Ford, you have the Limited, you have King Ranch that's at the top. You have their, I think it's STX, that's at the bottom. Somebody correct me in the comments because I know I'm wrong on that abbreviation. And then you have the, did I say Limited already? There's one in between there that I'm missing. Lariat? I don't know, put it in there. There's one that I'm missing. But this, you'll have to break, I don't know what the breakdown on the trim levels are. This one's $62,000, and that's a lot cheaper than what we've seen in the last couple of years from a lot of these Ram trucks. And here's another Bighorn. Let's see if there's a different trim level. No, I think it's the same thing. 2026 still, yeah, right at the same price, $62,000. I want to see if here's one that says Rebel on it. Let's Larry me. I know that's a higher level trim. I do know that. This one, yep, definitely. I don't know if you can see the price on that. $76,000 for that. So this has got to be the upper level trim. The Bighorn must be the lower level trim, and here's the Rebel. I'm not sure where that fits into it. Rebel crew cab, 2026 again, $76,000. So that's actually the same price as the Laramie. And one thing too that they pointed out is that they wanted to keep this going like they have been, but they still want to decrease their profit margins on the fleet side of things and actually be able to move more product. This is where a lot of these manufacturers, they make a lot of their money. Now Ford makes more money on their commercial side at this point than they are on the retail side, and it's for a good reason, right? Because they can pump these things out, they sell them a little bit cheaper. Let's look at this. ProMaster, $49,000 after your all your accessories and everything like that. But here's the thing, a lot of these manufacturers, they're banking on the economy still rolling the way it has been and businesses still spending money on fleet level products. We had this big accordion, this big delay. I say accordions like stretched out and then pushed out, but this big delay in a lot of these companies buying fleet vehicles because they got to be so much, and they learned that they could actually let their fleet vehicles last for a little bit longer than what they're accustomed to. So a lot of these companies that would flip over fleet vehicles every 2 to 3 years, well, pandemic hit, production went down, prices went to the moon. They figured out, okay, well, we can make them, instead of making them last 2 years, we can make them last 4 years. So what's ended up happening is this delay in purchasing. And that has fueled a lot of the purchases that have happened over the last 18 to 24 months at a lot of these dealerships for these fleet level vehicles. But at some point, that's going to stop. And what I worry about is that for these companies, because they figured out they can let their fleets actually last a little bit longer and it's okay, well, that's going to take out some of the buyers that are in the fleets for these actual companies. Because you got to think, well, if they wait from 2 years to 4 years, and a lot of these companies are doing it, well, that can take out 50% of their buyers because they no longer have to buy new trucks every 2 years. They're only buying them once every 4 years. So the pandemic has told a lot to a lot of these companies, both on the manufacturer side and the companies that are actually buying a lot of these vehicles, because they just realize they can get by on making higher profit margins, or in the case of the buyers, not spending as much money and letting things go a little bit longer. I do want to look at one of these fleet trucks though. All right, we got some here. This is just the 1500, I think. Yeah, but this is the E-Torque. I don't really like that. We'll see the price anyway. This is a 2025. And you wonder why this one's still sitting here. It's the E-Torque, I guess. It's the $57,000. And then I want to look at one of these really, really big. We got 2500, we got 3500. It looks like 2500 and the 3500. So here we go. 2500 here, 3500 here. So no sticker, no sticker, no sticker. All right, 3500 does have a sticker. Sorry about that. I wish I could get you a 2500 sticker. Here's a 2500 right here if it does have a sticker. Well, oh, yeah, here we go. 2500 is a 2026, $71,000 for this thing. And then on this side, we got a 3500 Tradesman long box. This one's been outfitted right here. $61,000. So if you like me running through these lights, I feel like I'm out of breath right now. It's cold, it's windy, but I want to do, I think, more of this of just unedited video, just run through the whole lot and show you some pricing, show you some inventory levels. I try to pick bigger dealers around the area that I know that are at least halfway decent. I know some dealers in my area that are not very good, and that's not going to give us a good representation of the market, because if they're charging stupid fees and not wanting to be negotiable, I know some of those that they're just going to have more inventory than is what realistic. But I think a dealership like this is actually going to show us a realistic picture of what the market looks like, specifically right here with Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. Maybe I'll hit Ford, maybe I'll hit some Toyota, stuff like that. But if you like these kind of lot walks and just my opinion on a lot of these things that I'm talking about here, let me know. I'll do more of them if you want. But you gotta put a comment, subscribe, like the video, and all of those things tell me that you want more of this kind of video. Let me know. Thank you, guys.